Hello and welcome to the Feed to Succeed podcast. I'm Betsy Yellenbrin, registered dietitian and pediatric nutrition expert, and I'm here today with my co-host.
Hi everyone, it's Jen Caracosta, family and consumer sciences teacher and culinary coach, and happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday, Jen.
It's a hot day.
It is.
In the Midwest.
Yep.
And we are still in the throes of a pandemic.
We are.
Yeah, so we realize that a lot of our topics are kind of circling around that because it's hard not to talk about.
Yeah.
Because
it's getting referenced every time we talk about stuff.
Every time we talk about stuff. I don't know that there has been a conversation that I've had with anyone in the last 4 months that has not touched on COVID in some way.
Sure.
And everyone's got lots of opinions about it. I think just wear the damn mask might be a campaign slogan. But one thing we wanted to talk about today was COVID, isolation, eating, exercising. Did any of your regimens change, improve, get worse? So we thought we would go there with that topic today.
And now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I have so many things to say in so many different directions we could go with this.
Okay.
But
why don't you take me on a journey? Where's your brain going right now?
Okay, let's see. Let's start with kvetching a little bit.
Okay.
I'm annoyed.
Tell me why.
Because I've been annoyed about the whole COVID thing. Like, you know how you go through these stages of grief, denial, anger, whatever?
Yes, acceptance, yes.
Yeah. So all of that happened way back in March, and I was pissed off about it and didn't want to stay in my house and didn't want to be bored, and my work had kind of came to a crashing halt for a little bit. And then it started picking up, and I started seeing people on Zoom, and lo and behold, as time went on, I started enjoying that because I was having more contact with them. I was getting good outcomes with people that I was able to meet with more frequently. And I felt like, oh, life's kind of getting back to a decent place. I'm working. It seemed like people were getting better. Numbers were going down here in Illinois anyway.
Right.
And I feel like the past few weeks are just everything's falling back apart, and I'm feeling mad again. Like I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
I feel like worn, tired. I have a bad attitude. I feel mad at the people I pass on the sidewalks who won't get out of the way. I feel mad at the people when I get out of the way and they can't smile and say thanks or anything. They look the other way. And I think other people are feeling that. I've been noticing when I do drive around, there's a lot of angry, aggressive driving happening.
Yeah, down our street.
Yeah.
I
think people are just worn out and tired and exhausted.
Right.
And don't want to put up with it anymore.
Agreed. But you have choices to be part of the problem.
That's right.
Or choices to be part of the solution.
I think that's why I'm mad, because I know I have to do the right thing. That's what I always do. I do the right thing, but I'm mad as hell about it.
Correct.
I don't want to.
Right. Well, and I referenced all the states surrounding Illinois are all hotspots right now, and their numbers are out of control. And I said, it's like being involved in a group project. And Illinois is doing the work, but the other states who are involved in the group project are not taking their part.
Yes, that was hilarious. That was such a good analogy.
But I'm with you. And, I will say when I go outside and I go for walk or run, and I call it a shuffle because I don't know that my feet are actually like leaving the ground.
Oh, it's running. You count that, girl.
Okay, well, let's call it run. I don't wear a mask because
I'm
outside and I want to breathe. But I do always get out of the way. I get a safe distance, and if someone does the same, I always make eye contact and just give a hand wave to say thank you.
Yeah.
My girls the same thing. If they're riding their bikes and, we stop and kind of stop out of the way. And it is a learning curve for them. They are understanding that there are new rules in place, but it cannot take the place of just human kindness.
Yes.
Because we are all, you've got to do your part. You've got to. It
Mhm.
doesn't need, it's not political, it is humanity.
Yeah.
It's human decency, and people's lives are at stake, and so just do what you need to do. But with that, I think as people get frustrated, worn down, things like eating habits can really take its toll, exercise habits,
Mm-hmm.
because you can resort to, I'm just gonna lay around,
Right.
just gonna lay around.
Who cares? There's nowhere to go. There's nothing for me to do. And I want to eat this food because it tastes good and makes me feel better briefly and lie on the couch because I have nothing to do.
Yes, all of those things. So we were going to talk a little bit about today about our own experiences with that, and
Yeah.
then some things to do to maybe if you're getting to that place or your kids are getting to that place, because I would say that high schoolers are keeping some sort of vampire hours. If they,
That's absolutely true.
you know, like you can't just stay up all night and like tell me at 3 o'clock in the morning you're up baking bread and then you can't get to your classes. These were kids that I had in the spring. I'm like, get out of bed. But the world is going to open some point or another.
Mm-hmm.
Schools are going to reopen, whether it's online or in person,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna have to get yourself on a schedule again. Your families are gonna have to get themselves on schedules again. You're gonna have to think about eating, you know, the right way. So let's talk a little bit about that today.
Yeah. So it's been really interesting professionally, and as I said already, that the first couple weeks when things in Illinois shut down, business kind of crashed, but then it started picking back up. And so I've been able to meet with people who generally didn't want to drive all the way to my office every week for follow-ups, but would have done better if they had that accountability. I've been able to do that more online. And a couple things that I'm going to say that I've noticed professionally is that, you know, I treat a number of different patients for a number of different things, one of which is weight issues,
Right.
underweight and overweight. And so my patients who I work with to control their weight, bring it down, improve their BMI, during the pandemic, things have fallen apart. Some of them don't want to meet with me because they feel bad about it, which I get.
Sure.
I've encouraged them to do it anyway for the accountability, because it's not, I'm not judging them. It's about taking care of your health.
Right.
But what I have seen is I've been working with people who are struggling with their weight, kids and teenagers, and even with dietary adjustments, which I never know how much compliance there really is when I'm not there, but
Sure.
even with dietary things that they tell me they're doing that under normal circumstances would be working great, I'm seeing these kids' weight just climb and climb and climb.
That's scary.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And I think there's two reasons. One reason is I myself will admit that even as a dietitian and a health professional, in the days of March and April and May, when I really wasn't going anywhere ever, I was bored and I was feeling sorry for myself.
Yep.
And so what did I do? I looked forward to what is my food going to be later today, because that's something I can control and plan, and it's an activity to cook and bake.
Yeah.
And so I was eating too much. I gained probably 10 pounds.
Okay.
And I didn't care because nobody was seeing me.
Right.
And so I justified, well,
Nobody's seeing me anyways.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so I kept every day what I'm going to make. I made homemade bagels, I made breads, cookies, whatever. It was fun and it was good.
Yeah.
But I think that's affected people.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I'm with you. I have been very careful about not baking every day because I
Right.
could,
Yeah.
because my kids want to, you know, but I actually feel like I went a little bit the other way, where I wasn't exercising, and now I am every day. And when I call my pandemic purchases, I think everyone could probably get into this category, But the week that school shut down, I bought myself an Apple Watch, I
Oh,
bought
yeah.
myself a phone, I was like, yeah, I need all these things, But the one thing about the Apple Watch is that accountability.
Yeah.
And so with that, you've got your rings, you've got
Mhm.
your stand, your exercise, and your move rings.
Mhm.
And so I set a goal for myself to close all 3 rings for an entire month.
Did you accomplish that?
In the month of May, yes.
Good job.
In the month of June, no.
Okay.
I went on, I was on a little road trip, so I knew I would be sitting quite a bit. So it's like, there was just no, unless I decided to stay up till like 3 o'clock in the morning or something to get those like stand rings going. But right now into July, so it's July 25th when we are recording this episode, and 23 out of the 25 days
That's good.
I've closed all the rings.
Very good.
So, I'm pretty proud of that.
You should be.
And I am a big fan of Pure Barre, which they actually took their business online.
Nice.
So we saw this, a lot of places were scrambling, like, how can I actually get some revenue here? If I
Right.
can't have people in studio or in the office or in the house or whatever, how can I do this? So they went to a live streaming feature, and so I pay a weekly fee, and it's unlimited classes, and then I can go onto their private live stream and take a class. And since April 9th, when I joined back up again, until now, I've taken 70 classes.
Holy cow.
I know. I'm pretty excited about that.
Do you feel stronger?
Yes,
Mm.
I do.
That's nice.
But it's a slippery slope,
Okay.
because one exercise class does not justify 6 chocolate chip cookies in a day. So
Okay,
you gotta
true.
make sure that it's true, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's like, I think people get in their head like, I exercised,
Oh, I totally used to do that.
and I it's like you feel great, I'm a little hungrier, okay, fine, but that's not gonna actually do yourself any good. Like one 30, 50-minute class, whatever, doesn't justify all that, so you gotta be careful.
So interestingly, as you say that, and you're working out more, another thing that I've seen with my clients is that even if they are working out more, they're moving less.
Okay, so they're doing their workout, but then they're not necessarily getting off the couch for other times a day. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think that we take it for granted, and you don't even think about how much moving we used to do. And I
Oh,
think
yeah.
about just the morning rush and getting ready to leave the house, and then walking into the building, and then walking into the store, and walking through the parking lot. Things that you don't even think about are gone.
Right.
And so I had several patients who are eating well and following instructions and watching exactly what they're doing and being very careful because they would like to reduce their BMI, but they're just not moving enough.
Right.
And just the toll of that is far beyond what people realize. I had one patient, and so this patient and I had been working together since last winter before all the pandemic stuff began. The patient, I'm trying to keep this very neutral.
Yep.
Had a high BMI and wanted to reduce that into a healthier level. So we're working on diet and exercise. We were making some slow but not great progress, meeting once a month. Well, March came and the world's shut down, and this person, which I totally understand this mentality, was sleeping until 10, feeling like they didn't have a purpose, kind of getting up, maybe playing on their phone. And we were still meeting, and the food was still getting on the healthier side. The weight kept going up. Weight kept going up. Like, what are we doing? We're eating fruit, we're eating veggies. Why aren't we making any progress? Well, there was no movement. None.
Right. You gotta move your body.
So we created a routine, and it was a really good idea, but then even just the motivation, like the whole why should I do this? Who really cares right now? We're in a pandemic. So hard. And so luckily this person's parents were very supportive and said, why don't you start meeting weekly? and I feel like we did start meeting weekly, and I've gotten to know this person pretty well, and it's been fun. And a lot of the time we're talking more about the routine and the daily activities than we even are talking about nutrition or planning. How are we going to get ourselves to eat that vegetable when we don't feel like it, like things like that. But anyway, this is interesting. So when Illinois entered phase 4 in early July, this person got a job outside of the house.
Okay.
And the job involved 4 to 6 hours a day, whatever the shift was, walking around, stocking some shelves.
So there's new movement.
New movement. It
Mhm.
wasn't exercise.
Right.
It was just movement.
Yeah.
9 pounds in a month down.
There you go.
9
pounds.
pounds. That, I'm doing the dietitian math. If a pound is 3,500 calories and 9 in a month, that's 7,000 calories burned a week. That's 1,000 calories a day that were being burned in addition just by moving.
Right.
And this wasn't even an exercise. This was not working out.
Right. And if you want to equate that to what that might feel like, 9 pounds, take 2 gallons of milk.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think some
You're
people
right.
really like that. Like, what does that feel like?
On those knees, on those ankles.
Right.
Yeah.
So pick up 2 gallons of milk
And walk around with
and
it.
walk around with it. And then when, you know, take that away, it's like, holy cow. Yeah. So I'm sure that this person is feeling much better all the way around. I'm sure mentally as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better about themselves. But I guess so then this is not the only kid that this has occurred with
Oh gosh,
in my
no.
practice. So I've been talking to families about this very thing, how much there at this point, you know, you can do some things. You can play tennis.
Mhm.
You can go for a walk. And so people will be like, well, we're taking a walk every day. I don't understand. How long are you walking? 30 minutes. You have no idea how much walking you were accumulating in a day before the
Mhm.
pandemic. Just moving around. It was more than 30 minutes.
Right.
And I think that's been lost. And so, to your point, yes, intentionality, exercising is great, and I know people are doing that more. But for some people, it's still the mentality there of you need more. You have to move. And I think your Apple Watch is a great thing, because that's what I'm getting to with kids now. Get a Fitbit, get an Apple Watch, find out how much are you really moving, because it's
Right.
not what you think it is.
Right. That's an interesting thing. And understanding, like, obviously, you know, an Apple Watch, those aren't cheap.
No.
But a Fitbit, you can get one that clips just to the waist of your shorts. You know, I mean, you don't have to get anything fancy.
Right.
It just will tell you, and it's a good gauge. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not exact, you know,
But it
but
gives you an idea.
it gives you a good idea. And honestly, yes, when I was in school, I would average 14,000
That's
steps a day.
exactly right.
Yeah, what is that?
That's my husband, David. He would wear his Apple Watch 10 to 14,000 steps a day.
Yeah. And
That's
10
5 or
flights of
6
stairs,
miles.
and, right,
Yeah.
exactly, 10 flights of stairs, because I made a commitment this year that I wasn't taking the elevator, and we're on the lower level, so you're going all the way up to the 2nd floor to get the mailroom, or meeting with another staff member on the 3rd floor, or meeting here, and like, you know, yeah, going all the way up to the 4th floor from the lower level, I would get to a meeting, and I'm like, give me a minute, you know, but I was like, all right, I just did some good, I got my heart rate up,
Yeah.
I did some moving, and now I'm trying to make sure I do hit close to those 10,000 steps every day.
And you have to work for it, even though you're working out.
Yes.
Exactly.
I've gotta work for it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think also, like, I have 2 little kids that I'm moving around with all day long, so it's hard, even sometimes, like, I just wanna hide for 5 minutes and then they find me. But you have to intentionally get up and move your body,
Right.
you know, aside from just doing one exercise class or something like that. But also, once again, even with that, even with getting your steps back in, even with doing exercise, there is still that food intentionality that you have to, it's not the right thing to say, but that doesn't give you license to just, like, go crazy with food
Right.
all the time. I think you and I have talked so much about everything in moderation. once you start depriving yourself generally of something over a long period of time, there is a mental anguish that can set in with that. So, but that does not give you license to have what I like to call like the Michael Phelps diet. When they, like honestly, when they profile him like during the Olympics and things like that, like you just show what he was eating for breakfast, and it was like 2 stacks of pancakes and 10 eggs and a pound of bacon. It's like you have to remember he's an Olympic athlete. The man never gets out of the pool.
Right.
He's burning all the time.
Yeah.
None of us are at that level.
No. Absolutely.
So be careful.
Right. And the other thing with the loss of routine that you're making me think about is you still have to be careful. You still need to pay attention. And when you're home, it's really easy to walk through the kitchen and grab a handful.
Yes. Yep.
And not count it.
Yep.
It's just a handful.
Yep.
And I'm not even saying of what, because it doesn't even matter.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah. And I mean, when you do weigh or measure something out, you will see quickly. I've done, I mean, when we were in school, I would say, okay, what do you think serving is of cereal? And a kid would pour cereal into a bowl. And then I'd get out the measuring cups. I'm like, that's 3 servings that you just ate.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not telling, it's not a shaming thing. It's just, I want you to be informed of what you're actually eating and the quantities. And once again, I think kind of going back to, like, I love a challenge. Like, I'm very competitive even with myself. So when I'm like, okay, I'm going to get on a good path and I'm going to weigh and I'm going to measure everything and I'm going to track it, I do. So when it says 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, I'm getting out my measuring spoons and measuring out 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. And just, my kids will be like, why are you doing that? I'm like, oh, I want to see. And they look at the numbers on the back of things, and I'm trying to explain it in a way that nothing is bad. It's just information.
Yeah.
So, how do we make sure that we're not putting those words like diet or, something's bad into their vocabulary, but like, this is how much energy it gives you and things like that. So,
Yeah. Good point.
But I think those routines, summer slump is a big thing, I think, when you think about even education-wise. People are in slumps. It's hard not to be.
Right.
Like, this is a mental toll that this pandemic is taking on people. And so sometimes food does feel good.
It totally does. There's
Yeah.
that thing. There's the piece about I need it to be nourished and to be healthy, and I need it to be comforting and satisfying and enjoyable.
Right.
And there has to be a balance. You can't just be all one or all the other.
No. It's not sustainable.
No.
And I think being, like, really rigid and opposite, like, so, rigid might just be the word to use. That's not sustainable. And then when you look at going the other way, and you're not taking care, and you're eating, you really can get into that poor health range quickly.
Especially right now.
Way quicker than I think people think.
Yeah.
So.
Especially right now.
Yeah.
And so, so I've seen kids' BMIs going up. I've seen on the other side, some of my kids see me because they're underweight.
Which I think is an interesting thing, because I'm confident that people would think that you wouldn't need to see a dietitian for being underweight, because underweight is would be a reflection of being healthy, right?
It's not.
Right.
Yeah. There are times, certainly there's a range of weight that is healthy, but if you're too underweight and you don't have enough body stores of energy, it does take a toll on other parts of your body.
Right.
Because your brain and your heart and everything are going to keep functioning regardless. And if you don't feed them, they're going to pull nutrients from other places so that they can keep working. So you can get to the point of being underweight. I know it's not common in the U.S., but it does happen. For example, one population that I see this a lot with is kids who have ADHD and take medications, because a lot of those medicines are appetite suppressants.
Right.
And that population has a difficult time with certain medicines keeping their weight up. So what I've seen during the pandemic for that group is some good.
Okay.
A lot of kids are taking less medicine because they're not in school. They're being given more time to finish their meals because they're at home.
And they're not racing to the next thing.
Right.
Okay.
Where they might have 20 minutes to eat lunch in a busy, crowded cafeteria at school, and it's distracting and they can't.
Right.
Now they can take their time and they can eat. And yeah, so this has been actually kind of good for that group of kids. A lot of those kids that I've been following have gotten better weights, more energy, more muscle, and had better growth.
That's great.
It is.
But you want it to sustain.
Yeah.
When we go back to what regular life will look like at
Yeah.
some point.
So I'm starting to hear this in the past couple of weeks now because it's getting close to the start of school. A parent said to me last week, "This is great. This is the healthiest my child's ever been. What are we going to do when we go back to school and we have 20 minutes for lunch and I have to restart the medicines?"
Yeah.
And I don't have an answer.
No. No, because you can't, there's no predictor for that. And you can't say, well, I'm gonna take 40 minutes for lunch now. You know, school districts don't really allow for
Right.
you to make that choice.
I was
But,
much healthier and feeling much better when I could take my time.
well, isn't that the phrase of the day? I mean, really, I also call this the great pause. You know,
Yes.
the pandemic, the great pause.
Uh-huh.
People took a big pause in their lives, and I would argue that high school students are probably getting more sleep than they've ever gotten.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and looking at sleep in terms of age ranges and stuff like that is all probably pretty, it's on the rise, but that's gonna be short-lived once
Yeah.
things go back.
And that
So,
affects growth too.
Yep.
Growth and development.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed.
So my own son, who is on the thin side and struggles with some attention stuff, did also have some weight gain and a huge growth spurt during the pandemic. And I think it's because he's got more time to eat
Sure.
and more access to food, and he's getting a lot of sleep.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like you wanna be able to preserve as much of that as possible, also knowing that when they go back to school and to activities and stuff like that, like what do you give up to gain at that point too, you know?
Right.
And my kids, I definitely, like, they never stop moving, truly. But they're not going to their activities right now. I haven't put them back in anything, but we're certainly moving around, and there's way more screen time than I would
Yeah.
like, but, you know, I'm taking care of some things from school, on the school end, so it kind of is a balance, but, the food part, they're participating more because we have the time for them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanna try to keep that going as well. But my older one keeps telling my little one, well, now you get to pack your lunch for school, and I'm like, we'll see how everything's gonna.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know, but, you know, they're already kinda talking about that, so I think we could even talk further as we're getting closer to school, maybe do another episode on how you keep some of these good practices going if you are going back to school in person, and getting routines back on track,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and while we're on this topic, because I don't want to just talk about it, I want people to have a takeaway from this. Some things that I'm finding work and don't work from my observation of different families and scenarios.
Yeah.
I would recommend, if you're having trouble with your child's weight and you're seeing it doing the creep, that the first thing you do is get them a little way to track their steps. And there's, like Jen said, cheap little step monitors you can get $20-$30, all the way up to $500 Apple Watches. It doesn't have to be fancy. Anything will do. But that for kids, especially grade school, junior high, they are motivated by seeing those numbers and seeing the steps and feeling good about that. And you can set some goals, like, here, let's get to this many steps in a week, and we'll have a movie night or something.
And set a family goal.
Yeah.
Make it a family event. It doesn't have to then, you're not placing all the onus on one young person in the house.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
Everybody's got to do it.
Yeah.
But in terms of what's realistic, I get asked this a lot, because, you know, when you get a Fitbit, it says your goal is 10,000 steps.
Right.
That's not necessary for good health. But I do think for grade school and junior high age kids, for the grade school ones, 6,000 is a good goal.
Okay, that sounds good.
And then for our junior high kids, I'd say 6 to 8.
Okay.
Not everybody needs to take 10,000 steps a day. And
No,
6 to 8,000 steps is 3 to 4 miles of moving.
Right. Moving. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be running on the track or
No.
doing a marathon, but moving. And what you can do is, you know, check their steps around late afternoon, see where they're at, and if you haven't reached the goal, it's time for family walk after dinner.
There you go.
but you can make it a project that everybody's gonna do that together.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. And even get them started now. You know, starting something the day before school goes back or something is not gonna be it. You wanna start implementing routines in short spurts to be able to build up to something.
Yeah.
So even maybe making your goal of August 1st, you're gonna start, you know, getting up
At 9.
At 9, not noon.
A week later, you can move it back to 8 or something.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But that, you know, you can start doing that. And then on the food side, making those small measured changes as well.
Mhm.
So saying in one day, I'm gonna overhaul all this and we're gonna take out all this stuff out of the house and we're gonna go to the grocery store, that is not sustainable. So talk about a meal that you wanna make some changes to, stick to that for a couple days and then incorporate. And then even looking at what are good choices in terms of snacks.
Yeah.
Because that, like you said, coming through the kitchen and grabbing a handful. It doesn't matter what it is, but the better options you have, the better choices you will make.
Yeah.
So.
And setting some rules around that, again, just to give you some more clear guidelines. So with the snacking thing, I think you do have to have some rules. It's too easy right now to just graze.
All the livelong day.
All
Yep.
the livelong day. And so in terms of what's realistic for kids in grade school and junior high, I think it's realistic to say, here's snack time and set a time and decide what that's gonna be. I think that twice a day is reasonable,
Agreed.
and it's gonna depend on timing of your meals. If you're having a late breakfast and a late lunch, you might need a mid-afternoon snack to make it to dinner and then something before bedtime.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're having breakfast and then a later lunch, maybe you need a mid-morning snack. But for most kids of all ages, 2 snacks a day is fine. And I really encourage you to consider keeping it to either one item if it's packaged, or if it's not a packaged item, if you're using fresh foods, you choose 1 fruit or vegetable and 1 protein as a combo. For example, some nuts, some peanut butter, a cheese stick, a yogurt tube could be the protein, and then you pair that with a fruit or a vegetable.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And I know we don't want to be like, again, we don't want to be real rigid, but we want to have some guidelines because you're teaching your kids how to take care of themselves, and they're looking to you to give them that information, just like you do with telling them they need to go to bed or telling them what they need to wear. They're relying on you.
Mm-hmm.
So having some guidelines, setting some simple boundaries and routines. If you see people going through the kitchen grabbing a snack, saying, you know what, it's not snack time. Snack time's at 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
Put that back. You can have something a little bit
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to hurt your child. And if they say, but I'm hungry, that is not also hurting them.
No.
It's okay to be hungry.
It's okay to be hungry.
It's
right.
okay to have to wait a little bit till you eat.
Get a drink of water.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I think people, especially now, because food's available and you're in your house all the time, they feel a little hungry and they feel like, I'm just going to grab something to eat. But that's a slippery slope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And even, you know, my kids will pull after dinner's been put away, it's a couple hours, they're like, I'm still a little hungry. I'm like, there's carrot sticks in the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? They're not hungry anymore.
Right, exactly.
You know, so, and sometimes, I mean, my little one will be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so great, go have carrot stick. I'd rather that than you know, chewing out and eating a bunch of junk before you go to bed or something like that. But it is easy to graze. It's easy when you're busy and you're like, here, take it. And then all of a sudden you realize you handed your kid like the box of crackers or something like that.
Go away, I'm busy.
Yeah, right. I'm on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they hear the little side note, they'll ask how many people are on my Zoom call and can they say hi? Because they know sometimes there's important Zoom calls where they can't pop in. But other times they know they can climb up on my lap. So that's a sidebar. But that's when I know they're also getting into the snacks too. So
Oh, yeah.
I gotta make sure that they're like, they've been fed, they're fine, go play, go do something. When I'm done, then we'll get lunch going or a snack or something like that. So.
And don't leave things sitting out other than a bowl of fruit, because you
Yep.
see it, you want it.
Absolutely.
Put it away.
Put it away.
Put it on a high shelf. So when your kids open the pantry, because they're bored and they're looking to see what you've got, they're not going to first see the Cheez-Its and the chips and all that. Put it on a high shelf.
Right. It's funny you say that because I was actually going to rearrange my pantry to make it easier for my kids to reach things, and I'm like, wait a second, what am I doing?
Why am I doing that?
Why would I do that? Yeah, they have to ask me.
Yeah.
To be able to get to what they want. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
And the other thing I'm going to mention too, just on the topic of trying to stay healthy when we're moving less and not as motivated, is beverages.
Oh yeah, sure.
They can be loaded with calories. It's so easy to sit and sip.
Mm-hmm.
And so with your kids, really, beverages, don't keep it in the house.
Yeah.
Don't keep it in the house. It's so easy. Just water and milk. And if they want something else and they don't want to drink the water, they're not thirsty.
Right.
They're bored.
They're bored. Right. Don't keep it in the house. I will say I bought lemonade, powdered lemonade for like our full 4th of July celebration. And every 3 days, can we have lemonade? I'm like, no. But I know it's in the house, but I have to make it. So that's not as readily available as having like a pre-made big gallon of lemonade in the fridge, ready to go. But don't keep that.
So I did something bad. Those sparkling ice drinks
Yes.
were on sale. And my kids like those. They're low calorie, 0 calories, fun. And I was like, oh, poor us. We're living in a pandemic. This will make my kids happy, so I bought them. And of course they want to drink 2 a day.
Yeah.
Which is expensive. And I know it's no calories, but it is artificial colors and artificial sweeteners and all that. And so I don't feel as bad as if they were drinking a Coca-Cola, but I don't feel great about them like pounding those. But then I kind of made this habit, and so I'd go to the store and be like, did she get some more ice? Sparkling ice? I'd be like, if I said no, they'd be sad, and if I said yes, they'd be happy, and then I felt better because I was not feeling happy myself.
Right. So you were, yeah.
And that's basically just to say, it's really easy to get into these habits. We're all struggling. Find something else to feel happy about. Squeeze a lemon wedge in their kids' water. It's going to give it some taste, and they will think it's more fun than plain water. Don't go to the store and buy cases of sparkling ice.
Yeah.
I am not trying to set an example by doing that. That's not a good thing.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. My kids every once in a while will ask for soda. I don't think I've ever given it to them. Like they've had a drink of something, and my oldest said, when Emily and I are 21 and 23 years old, we're gonna have our own apartment and we're gonna drink soda. I was like, you do that, but it's so funny that they
Gotcha,
think that
Mom.
this is, right. They think it's this like mysterious thing I'm keeping away from them, but they don't need to have it.
Yeah.
Like, they don't need to have it. They don't need to get started. And a treat, because we were at your house and they wanted some of the sparkling ice.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I knew they wouldn't
They didn't
necessarily
like
like it. So yes, your son got them each a cup of it, and they took 3 drinks, and they were like, I don't like this. I just want my
Yeah.
water. I was like, great,
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, but it does, like, you want to make everybody feel better in this situation, but don't use food or drinks as one of those things because it is a slippery slope. So,
Yeah.
But in summary, move yourself, move your body.
Move your body.
Get up. You gotta get out of bed. You gotta get off the phone. Move yourself. For adults, try 10,000. I think is a good goal for adults.
I don't think it's necessary for everybody.
Yeah.
I think 8,000 is okay for some people.
Okay.
But it does depend.
Yeah.
On your body.
Right.
And what you're eating.
Right. Okay. And then if you're starting to make some bad choices and you're finding your clothes feeling a little tight and you're not feeling great about that, start.
Look at your routine.
Yeah. Look at your routine. Take a look at it. Write it down. Even just writing things down will help you look how you can visualize to make changes as well.
Yep. Yeah. All right. I think we've said plenty about this topic. I think we could go on about this topic for a long time, but we'll wrap it up here because we're getting a little long.
Okay. Thanks for listening today, and if you are enjoying this podcast, please rate and review us where you get your podcasts. And don't forget to check out our social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and the new Feed to Succeed website that is up and running.
Website where you can go and find more information, and you can search by topic or age and find more information about good nutrition for your kids and family.
Great. Tons of great content on the website.
Yes, feedtosucceed.com.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.